Let's talk fashion now. Nigeria's fashion market is estimated to be worth between $2.5 billion and $6 billion annually. Some reports even suggest that it contributes approximately $6.1 billion to the nation's GDP every year. And there are projections suggesting that the market could reach a volume of $1.8 billion by 2029. Menswear stand out here. We see menswear alone is expected to reach about $2 billion by 2030. And there are some trends that we have noticed recently. We see the local Ankara being given some fashion touch. And the report also show that exports of such materials have increased about 20% year on year. That should be good news. But let's find out if this really trickles down, to the players in the industry. We have right here in the studio a creative director and chief executive officer of Glue by Nasri Elias. Mr. Nasri Elias is right here in the studio. Mr. Elias, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we see good news here. I mean, we're talking of billions of dollars. How much do you have with you? So I know if I should come and kidnap you or not.
Well, I mean...
these numbers, I mean, we see them in research and all of that, but does it come out as real to you, being in the industry? Do you really feel that this amount is circulating in the fashion industry, whether by exports or consumption locally?
So, yeah, the numbers is actually circulating, and at the same time is also shared between Nigerians and international brands and international producers, most especially fabric manufacturers. So when you say, most of these fabrics are originally not made in Nigeria, but the example is Ankara, for example. Ankaras are not totally produced in Nigeria. They're actually imported in, produced outside Nigeria and then brought in.
So that's what you mean by it's being shared?
Yes, that's what I mean by being shared.
So even though we have the materials brought into the country...
then we create and then we localize it and make it look like ours. What is originally ours from start to finish is Ashoke and the Akwates, for example. So because they're actually woven from thread all the way, from the yarn level all the way to the finished level. So that is where we have the money being shared within the Nigerian value chain. Do you understand? So you talk about the people from the producers of the yarns all the way down to the weavers and the weaving companies, dyeing and all of that, all the way to the designer and then, So the value chain there.
What's the percentage of that Ashoke, the one that's totally Nigerian? What's the percentage in all of this?
In all of this, I would say Ashoke is maybe about 5 to 10%, because we have, even when we talk about Adire, for example, Adires are usually originally maybe made from a fabric that was imported and then, dyed into Adire. You can have maybe Guinea brocade dyed into Adire. You could have maybe linens dyed into Adire. You could have chiffons dyed into Adire. So because we do not really have that manufacturing end in the fabric production, so then people have to localize to, tell our story with what we have at the moment. So that's basically where it starts from.
But it's not like we can't do this thing. I know before now, our textile used to be a major stay for the Nigerian economy.
Yeah, so, I mean, in the, I think it was in the 70s or thereabouts, I read about that too, that the textile industry...
Oh, you did not even experience it?
Unfortunately. I didn't experience it. So I read that the textile industry had over 86,000 Nigerians employed in that value chain, and it was a really, really massive one. I believe that we can actually revive it, and this is the time to revive it. This is time to have industry players come in so that we can create value from the beginning till the end. And
so we hear a lot of government policies coming up now are trying to revive the garment and textile. I wonder if it's trickled down to you in any way.
Most of these policies take a while before they have an effect. But, I mean, firstly, we have to really give it to the entire Nigerian people and the Nigerian government for what has been done so far, because I remember when we started and what we have now, or maybe even when we look back to the 90s, you know, most of the design, there were just a few designers in the space, and you could, you could count them. Well, the other types of people you have is the machinists, which people call tailors, where you just walk into and then you just give them your fabric, they produce. So there's really no standard there. But when you have people like designers in that space now, there's a lot of standard that's been brought into the space. And then we are really poised for exports, the way we look already.
So we see export has increased by 20%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Or
obviously.
is it more than that?
I
think informal
I
export
think
also.
exactly.
Informal export happens
there's
so much in this
There's
country.
a lot of informal exports, you know, because you have people who even come in and say, okay, somebody's traveling, okay, let me just have that. That doesn't go into the records. So all of those put together shows that, I mean, a lot is already happening in the space. So it's just going to take a while, and it will take, what do I call it? It will take uh, the right word to use is deliberate attempt towards ensuring that this money actually spreads within the Nigerian value chain, not the external or the importation value chain. Because what we really need to do is to domesticate that money and then make it work for us.
I wonder if you see the government leading in this consumption. You're talking about the trends among consumers now, consuming the Nigerian. I know I'm guilty of it, but at least I have my leaders there, from the executive to the judiciary to,
But if we look
because
at it...
even a lot of them, you see them wear things that look like local materials, but they're actually imported.
And so the materials, like I said, materials are not locally made.
Is it because we cannot have our good quality materials?
So that
or is not enough to go around?
So what I'm saying is, okay, so in terms of textile, maybe textile produced in Nigeria, the only fabric company there's only just one fabric company that produces t-shirts and polo fabrics. And then they also do things like maybe school uniforms and all of that. But if you look at the finish, and the companies are not even owned by Nigerians. The company, sorry, is not owned by Nigerians. So the only Nigerian company that once sprung up in, it was between 2000 and, I think 2008 up until like 2015 or 2013 when they shut down. They were only in the space for about 6 years there, or 5 years, yeah, and then they shut down. Their fabric was even better than the other non-Nigerian company that was producing, but they couldn't keep up.
Was it money? Was it demand?
The challenge was there was still a component in the production that they needed to import. And the only person that had license, according to what we heard, was the Indian company who owned the other big part of the importation.
So obviously he will prioritize his own needs over the need of a competition.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and maybe volume was also a factor, because
that's demand.
Yeah, so maybe they didn't have their volume because their prices was more expensive than the other Indian company that was in existence prior to that time.
So if the government really is serious about all of the revival of that sector, I guess the first thing would be to get an entrepreneur perhaps who has been in that line of business before to produce this. Because if you say in the whole of Nigeria, I mean, it's your word, I've not done the research, but the only one textile producing company.
Yeah, that's in the t-shirt line. In terms of other types of fabric, say you talk about maybe, we are used to using most Western fabrics. Like what I'm wearing is made in Nigeria, but the fabric is Western. This is like a wool fabric, and so the wool fabric is not made here in Nigeria. So if you look at... Is it
because we don't have enough wool or cotton?
No, in terms of cotton, we're actually one of the biggest producers of...
On paper or in reality?
In reality. Like
no,
I'm not talking about finished cotton. I'm saying
raw
material.
Talking about raw material.
The raw material. The North has a lot of cotton, and then a lot of companies abroad come to source cotton from the North. But the problem
so we are exporting our raw material to buy the finished product. There you go again. Another
So
sad
that's,
story.
yeah, so that's the part to that. And the process to creating it, to turning it into yarns, I'm not sure the knowledge is still there anymore. I'm not sure. I'm not saying I've done the research because, it's been a long time since this factory is shut down, and, it takes skills to get all these things done, move through the processes before you get it to finished.
I'm sure there's a Nigerian abroad that's doing it. And if we really want to do it and invite such an individual to come and set up a company here and give all the incentives, I'm sure we can get the company running in a couple of months.
So it's going to require a lot of incentives from the government to ensure that people see it worthy of coming in to, invest and get these things up and running. It's going to take a lot of that incentive to encourage Nigerians or encourage foreigners to bring in the money, because it also takes a lot of money to set up this type of infrastructure.
Every time I hear how we sell out our raw materials, it's just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And we're looking for jobs, talking of unemployment
exactly.
and
So,
everything.
because if we look at the over 86,000 people that were employed in the garment manufacturing sector back in the 70s and 80s, you see that is already about 400,000 social capital gone. I mean, what's the word for it? That's people, about 400,000 people already taken care of, because, for everyone that has a job, takes care of like 5
the households
dependents.
And the value chain. But thank you so
Yeah.
much for painting this not so happy picture for us, but our reality. Creative Director and Chief Executive Officer of Glue by Nasir Elias. Mr. Nasir Elias, for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
All right,
day.
let's take a break now. When we come back, the hospitality industry is our focus. Please stay with us.